Early Monday morning at Clearwater Federal Airport, a small Midwestern terminal known more for its quiet efficiency than drama, Serena Hill stepped through the glass doors of Terminal 2. No one in the rushing crowd of travelers had any idea that the woman wearing a bright orange blazer, rolling a sleek dark blue Samsonite suitcase, was one of the key power players behind a corporation that owned and operated 17 airports nationwide. Serena was the shadowy deputy CEO of Skyward Infrastructure Group, responsible for federal-level aviation reforms and investment deals. Within industry circles, she was known as the shadow executive, a woman rarely seen in public but whose decisions shaped entire flight corridors. Today, Serena chose to conduct an unannounced inspection of Clearwater. Beneath her composed exterior was a precise mission: to quietly investigate a confidential tip. Whispers from insiders suggested something rotten within the security wing, a rogue group of TSA agents allegedly abusing random checks to intimidate, extract, or even steal from unsuspecting travelers. And sure enough, as she neared the security checkpoint, the sharp gaze of TSA agent Carter Voss, a tall man with light brown hair and icy eyes, locked onto her like he'd been waiting. He spotted someone who didn't flinch, didn't rush, someone who triggered his need for control. "You." "Random check," he barked, not even glancing at the scanner. Serena didn't blink. She gave a faint smile and nodded. But as Carter began unzipping her suitcase without gloves, without courtesy, and rifled through the compartments with brash disregard, tension rippled through the surrounding area. A nearby female TSA agent watched but said nothing. Carter yanked out a small black pouch from an inner coat compartment, a pouch containing a special USB Serena had no intention of letting anyone outside Skyward's legal team touch. He held it up, smirking. "What's this? Encrypted files? Why do you have this?" "That data belongs legally to Skyward Infrastructure. It concerns domestic aviation infrastructure," Serena replied calmly. "I don't believe you have the clearance to open it." But Carter didn't care. He reached for his phone, preparing to call someone, and that's when Serena's internal alarm bells rang. Because only a few people in the industry knew this, the special search unit at Clearwater was under suspicion for leaking executive-level traveler data to outside parties, possibly for corporate espionage. Carter Voss gestured sharply at another TSA officer. "Take her to the secondary inspection room." Serena said nothing. She calmly rolled her dark blue Samsonite suitcase alongside a young female officer named Alyssa Tran, the only one who seemed hesitant. Alyssa's eyes briefly met Serena's. There was something unspoken there, but the presence of Carter silenced it. The secondary inspection room was tucked away at the far end of the hallway, out of public view. Once the door shut, Carter waved Alyssa out, leaving just him and Serena inside. There were no cameras in this room, something Serena had noticed earlier. A red flag. "Now let's be honest," Carter said, voice low and menacing. "Who are you? What's on that USB? Why were you trying to hide it?" Serena maintained her composure. "I'm a lawful traveler. And I already answered your question." Carter slammed his hand on the table, shaking her suitcase. "Don't play games with me. Are you corporate espionage? Smuggling intel for a third party? Clearwater's not the kind of place to vanish unnoticed." Serena understood she wasn't just being personally threatened. Her entire company's integrity was on the line. She needed a way to signal for backup. Her hand moved subtly toward her smartwatch, a custom device that could send a silent distress signal to Skyward's executive operations network if she was unlawfully detained. She tapped 3 times and held for 3 seconds. The signal was sent. The LED blinked red, but hidden beneath the sleeve of her bright orange blazer, no one could see it. "You think I don't know my authority around here?" Carter snarled, stepping closer. "You walked into a place people like you don't belong." Serena met his eyes without flinching. "And you just made the biggest mistake of your career." Outside, in the corridor, Alyssa remained near the door. She hadn't fully left, despite Carter's instructions. Her instincts told her something was wrong. She'd seen random inspections before, but never with someone locked in alone, with no paperwork and no surveillance. A minute later, her phone buzzed, a system alert from a secure internal code at Skyward. Red signal triggered. Priority device. Location: secondary room, Section B. Alyssa's breath caught. She looked at the sealed door again. Inside, Carter was still interrogating Serena. The danger was now undeniable. Alyssa Tran stood frozen at the door. Her heart pounded in her chest. The internal Skyward message made everything crystal clear. The woman inside wasn't just a traveler, and certainly not someone who should be interrogated like a criminal. She pulled out her phone, opening the internal TSA app to verify identity. But her access was blocked. Someone had disabled credential levels from inside the system. A temporary lockdown, suspicious and dangerous. Her eyes fixed on the override panel next to the door. It had a magnetic lock release, used only in emergencies. She knew that if she used it without official clearance, she could be suspended, maybe fired. But if she did nothing, and something happened to Serena Hill? She swallowed hard and raised her radio. Dispatch, this is Tran from Sector B. I need urgent confirmation on the detainee in secondary inspection. A red tier distress signal has been received. Requesting instructions. Silence. Then static. No reply. That was all the confirmation Alyssa needed. Something was deeply wrong. She unlocked the door. Inside, Serena remained calm under pressure, even as Carter hovered over her, holding the USB and her personal phone. You know I could send this data off right now. Just one tap. And if you do, the entire TSA system at this airport will be audited within 12 hours. I sent the signal the moment you touched the USB, Serena replied coolly. The door burst open. Alyssa stepped inside, face steely. Agent Voss, I've received a top-tier priority alert. Per federal protocol, we are to cease all interrogation of high-clearance individuals unless properly authorized. Carter's eyes narrowed. What do you think you're doing? Alyssa didn't flinch. Protecting a passenger. And I'll testify if needed. Serena looked at the young officer, a flicker of admiration in her eyes. You know you're doing the right thing, Serena said quietly. Alyssa turned to Serena. We're getting out of here. Now. Alyssa Tran stood frozen at the door. Her heart pounded in her chest. The internal skyward message made everything crystal clear. The woman inside wasn't just a traveler, and certainly not someone who should be interrogated like a criminal. She pulled out her phone, opening the internal TSA app to verify identity. But her access was blocked. Someone had disabled credential levels from inside the system. A temporary lockdown, suspicious and dangerous. Her eyes fixed on the override panel next to the door. It had a magnetic lock release, used only in emergencies. She knew that if she used it without official clearance, she could be suspended, maybe fired. But if she did nothing, and something happened to Serena Hill? She swallowed hard and raised her radio. Dispatch, this is Tran from Sector B. I need urgent confirmation on the detainee in secondary inspection. A red tier distress signal has been received. Requesting instructions. Silence. Then static. No reply. That was all the confirmation Alyssa needed. Something was deeply wrong. She unlocked the door. Inside, Serena remained calm under pressure, even as Carter hovered over her, holding the USB and her personal phone. You know I could send this data off right now. Just one tap. And if you do, the entire TSA system at this airport will be audited within 12 hours. I sent the signal the moment you touched the USB, Serena replied coolly. The door burst open. Alyssa stepped inside, face steely. Agent Voss, I've received a top-tier priority alert. Per federal protocol, we are to cease all interrogation of high-clearance individuals unless properly authorized. Carter's eyes narrowed. What do you think you're doing? Alyssa didn't flinch. Protecting a passenger. And I'll testify if needed. Serena looked at the young officer, a flicker of admiration in her eyes. You know you're doing the right thing, Serena said quietly. Alyssa turned to Serena. We're getting out of here. Now. The metallic door slammed shut behind Serena and Alyssa. Though the two women had exited the danger zone, the real battle had only just begun. Serena activated the blacklight protocol on her smartwatch. The LED display read, Access confirmed. Serena Hill, Skyward Exec, 1 priority level. 3 encrypted signals were sent directly to Skyward's central system. Within 47 seconds, access nodes across TSA's internal network had been infiltrated by Skyward's Rapid Response Cyber Team. Operation Codename, Blacklight. Alyssa glanced at Serena. Who are you calling? The people who can recover deleted data logs, unlock surveillance feeds, and set a very efficient trap, Serena replied calmly. As Skyward's team streamed into the airport's security systems, Serena and Alyssa returned to the main TSA control zone. Inside, Agent Carter Voss was conferring with 2 other personnel, one of whom had accepted money from a private intelligence firm in exchange for lists of VIP passengers and confidential flight data. Meanwhile, Skyward's data hub automatically flagged and released a chain of compromising emails. Neither Carter nor his accomplice knew they'd been digitally recorded. One stood out. From Carter.Voss at TSA.gov to Raoul.Norton at Sigincore.net. Serena stood directly in front of the group. That email address has been matched 4 times with questionable random screenings in the last 3 months, she said. Carter paled. He looked around, suddenly defensive. That's circumstantial. It's now verified, Serena interrupted. Skyward's system has extracted the full message chain and flagged the attachments. Within 20 minutes, federal inspectors arrived. Carter was detained, his TSA credentials revoked on the spot. His accomplice broke down in silence. Alyssa stood nearby, steadier than she expected. Serena turned to her and said, "You picked the right moment to become part of the solution." 3 days after Operation Blacklight, a formal decision was handed down from the Federal TSA Oversight Board. Carter Voss received a final written warning for procedural violations, racial bias, and unauthorized detainment of a high-level passenger. That same day, he was suspended pending further investigation. But that was only the beginning. Within a week, Carter's employment was permanently terminated. Internal records revealed 11 prior complaints over the past 18 months, most involving disrespect toward women and travelers of color. The evidence collected by Serena Hill and Skyward sealed the case. Serena didn't rest. As co-owner of Clearwater Airport and deputy executive of Skyward, she called an emergency summit with the airport board and TSA leadership. There, she introduced a reform package. Revised TSA staff training, with emphasis on unconscious bias, professional conduct, and civil rights. Creation of an independent oversight board to audit surveillance footage and passenger complaints. Implementation of the Dignity First model, ensuring that all passengers are treated with basic human respect. All proposals were passed unanimously. Serena kept her promise to Alyssa, offering her a key role in the new Internal Ethics Task Force. Alyssa accepted, becoming a vital bridge between old procedures and the reformed vision. Soon, news of the Clearwater incident spread rapidly online. A traveler's brief cell phone clip showing Carter yelling and rifling through Serena's suitcase went viral, over 6 million views in just 48 hours. Major media outlets like CNN, The Atlantic, and Vox picked up the story. The most repeated headline: "The woman TSA harassed owns the airport." National debate exploded. Hashtags like #CheckYourBias, #TravelWithDignity, and #SerenaEffect trended. Travelers shared their own stories of racial profiling, while policy experts called for a nationwide TSA review. From one moment of injustice, Serena Hill had launched a wave of systemic reform. And from one cramped inspection room, a more equitable future for American aviation had begun to take shape. Less than 3 weeks after the Clearwater incident, Serena Hill testified before a special session of the U.S. Congress. As deputy executive of Skyward Infrastructure and co-owner of Clearwater Airport, she laid out the security flaws and the consequences of unchecked bias within the TSA. Her testimony extended beyond her own experience. Backed by data, public complaints, and civil rights organization input, she called for the creation of a federal commission for aviation justice, an independent body to oversee TSA practices nationwide. Her proposals gained traction. Serena was appointed special advisor to the U.S. Department of Transportation on aviation security reform. But more importantly, her leadership sparked lasting change. Under her guidance, Clearwater International Airport became a national model, embodying dignity, transparency, and inclusion. With humane, forward-thinking policies, Serena didn't just protect future passengers. She cemented her role as a social change agent. Her story inspired others to speak up, demand fairness, and reclaim dignity within public systems. Meanwhile, Carter Voss became a cautionary tale. After his dismissal, he began to realize the full weight of the prejudice he had never confronted. In a publicly posted letter of apology, he acknowledged the pain he had caused and the overdue journey of reckoning he had begun. Yet the story carried a deeper message. Remorse alone is not enough. Without systemic support for rehabilitation and reform, apologies remain hollow. A just system doesn't only punish, it educates, restores, and rebuilds. That's what Serena had set out to create.